Hi, I'm Elena, and when I'm not following around Nathan Drake with a video camera, I'm listening to Podcast Beyond.
And this is Nathan Drake, star of Uncharted, Drake's Fortune. And I love Podcast Beyond. Although I don't know how to get this thing to work. Elena, can you fix this for me?
Yeah, all the time.
What? She's the techie, not me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Podcast Beyond.
Beyond!
I am your host, Chris Roper, editor-in-chief of the IGN PlayStation team. Yes, it was perfect sync. With me this week is editor Jeff Haynes.
Oh, yes.
And asset editor, associate editor Ryan Clements.
What's going on, everybody?
Greg is in Vancouver or someplace in Canada, doing some sort of event, seeing some sort of video games and traveling the world and going to see some snow because we don't get any here in San Francisco area.
That's how he rolls.
Yeah, so that's fun. So to kick off the show, Ryan, can you introduce the first segment?
Yes, I would love to, Chris. Today we are going to start things off with the one, the only, the Roper Report.
Time for some news.
Okay, so,
do I have to do them all myself?
Backwards.
All right, so
It's off to a great start.
now that yeah, it's great. Now that we're smack dab in the middle of December, there's not really a whole lot going on. Everybody's pretty much done, but there was a couple of interesting things that happened last week. First off, Eat Sleep Play made the official full announcement on their Twisted Metal game, which the official name is Twisted Metal Head-On Extra Twisted Edition. The information that we're seeing is that it will contain 4 new stages, which were taken directly from Twisted Metal Black 2, or I guess they were, finished off or whatever. There's going to be a behind-the-scenes documentary on the disc. There's going to be some new endings, which were scrapped from the original Twisted Metal that'll be kind of finished up and put it in there. You'll be able to control Sweet Tooth outside of his little ice cream truck deal.
Crazy.
I think that's about all the new stuff. Is that correct, Jeff?
I think the only other thing is that they're taking one other level from Head-On. They're either like remaking it, or it's one of the levels that wasn't included in the PSP version of Head-On that they're adding on to this game as well. So
Okay, yeah. So lots of new content. Looks pretty cool, so Twisted Metal fans should be very excited. Let's see, Folklore downloadable content was announced last week. Ryan, do you want to give us the scoop on this one since you're the Folklore fan here in the office?
The fanatic. It's 2 downloadable packs. I unfortunately don't have an official release in front of me, so I'm just going on memory. But it's 2 downloadable packs. One of them has a couple extra quests, an extra cloak for Ellen, and I think like an extra folk that you can get, and then the other pack has a new form for Keats, his Transcendence form. Now it looks a little different. It's kind of like a samurai Power Ranger of some kind.
I think they've got the same thing. It's just a little bit different for both because I think Keats has 4 missions and extra folk too.
Yeah, it's basically like an extra folk, a costume, and some missions for each pack, and then you can also get them as a bundle for. Is it $4.99 or $5.99?
I think it's $5.99.
It's $3.99 a piece or $5.99 for both of them.
Ooh,
I got that.
Yeah.
And then the other interesting bit of information that we got was that we will be seeing a Devil May Cry 4 demo early next year.
Really?
Very interesting. That will be coming to both the PlayStation Network and the Xbox, whatever that is. Nobody listening to this should care about Xbox. But anyway, so good times for
Jeff,
Devil May Cry fans.
All right, ready? Trish, Gloria, or Lady on 3. 1, 2, 3, go.
Gloria.
I wonder why.
Have you seen the movie that we put up on Friday?
Yes, I have.
Enough said.
So that about does it for the news this week. Anybody know anything else crazy that happened? And there was, I don't know.
Not really.
That was it.
That was pretty much the big news.
Yeah, not much going on here.
Yes. And now, wait, do you want me to actually?
Okay. I'll introduce it. Well, now
Okay.
let's do the release list.
Yes.
And now, the official IGN list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms by IGN editors.
Sorry, I didn't see my cue.
You are what? You have your C game going or something?
No, I was just making sure the levels were good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's not that much coming out this week. Majority of it is primarily PS3 and PS2 titles. PSP has absolutely nothing. But
Hooray.
For the PS3, you have NCAA March Madness 08. You've got the Orange Box and Unreal Tournament 3, which I believe was released today. For the PS2, you have Madden NFL 08 in Espanol. You have...
Wait, Unreal Tournament is coming out for PS2?
I said for the PS3.
Oh, okay.
For the PS2, if you're paying attention,
I missed the
You
space. There was a space there.
yes, you have Madden NFL 08 in Espanol, NCAA March Madness 08, Neo Geo Battle Coliseum, and if it doesn't get delayed again for probably the 6th time this year, Daisen Ryaku 7 Modern Military Tactics Exceed.
Exceed.
And that is the official IGN list of upcoming PlayStation software on all 3 platforms by IGN editor.
There actually is a a listing on this list.
Really?
Yes. Area 51. We're putting in the review for today.
Was that actually released?
Yep. Now
this week?
it's shipping now.
Oh.
So there's an extra.
Well,
one
there you go.
So since we're talking about games coming out, let's do pick of the week.
Pick of the week.
Man, there's actually some really good games on this list here
Yeah,
for
that's gonna be a hard
PS3's Orange
choice.
Box and Unreal Tournament. I got to go with. I mean, Unreal Tournament's awesome. I got to go with
I'd
Orange
lean
Box.
towards. Oh, really?
I got to go with Orange Box.
I'd lean towards UT3.
Well, I mean, the Orange. Well, anyway, I know the Orange Box has more games in it.
That's true.
So
That is true. More bang for your buck.
Ryan, what do you say?
You will soon find out when my review is posted.
Orange
today.
Box review goes up tonight at midnight, so we'll
Yes,
see what his-
ideally it will be there.
Excellent
Yes,
segue
correct.
on.
It will be there or you're fired.
Well, I'll be ready. I thought you said you were the one, and that's why I wasn't speaking for you, because you said you'd be the one posting it live.
I know what I'm doing.
Perfect.
I'll be there.
I'll be ready.
And Ryan,
I'm ready. It's the internet. I'll be
I
anywhere.
wrote it yesterday. I was on top of things.
Then it'll be up tonight at midnight.
Yeah, there you go.
There it is.
and where
So-
can you find that review, Ryan?
You can find it at ps3.ign.com.
Yes, there it is.
There you go. Was
Very-
it somewhere else?
Very good plug. Very good plug for
It's a
ourselves.
plug. It's a segue.
Okay, I gotcha.
Let's see. I think we're covered on that end.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Let's move on to some reader mail.
Reader mail. Mail call.
Mail
female. Chain mail.
It gets better every week. Oh God.
This is replacing our topic of the week, or toe.
Yeah, we don't really have a topic of the week because it's the middle of December. It's what is it? Today's December 10th,
And we're man down.
and we're man down. Greg is in Canada, so
December 10th, quick shout out to my mom. It's her birthday today.
happy birthday, Ryan Clemence's mom.
Yes. Happy birthday, Mom.
Very good. Getting on to some reader mail, male, female. Let's see. Johnny
Bill
Blades. Johnny Blades wants to know, if Sony were to replace the MotorStorm bundle with another game, what game do you think would cause the most impact?
I actually didn't really understand what he was asking in this
He's
question.
saying
For the 80 gig.
if Sony started packaging a different game with the PS3 rather than MotorStorm, what game would be the best one to package with it? I mean, I think clearly the answer right now would be Uncharted.
Right.
But I mean that doesn't make any sense because the game's on the shelves. I think a perfect game to do that would be is Resistance.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean the game's been out for a year.
Still fun.
It's still fun. It's being supported, so when you get it, you'll be able to download new stuff, and it'll everything will be
The
new
map
to you.
pack just came out.
Yeah, Map Pack 2 just came out. I mean, I think Resistance is perfect for that.
Yeah, I agree, but I have a feeling that probably what we'll wind up seeing, and this is just a guess, is that maybe with Killzone 2 coming out, that you'll see like Killzone 2 probably being the one that winds up replacing MotorStorm, and depending upon when that actually winds up coming out, if they happen to delay it for any particular reason, I could also see them going, this is what our new SKU is going to be, and they'll package a DualShock 3 in there with it. So it'd be like, you're getting the entire experience, this is exactly what the power of the PS3 can be. Here you
Maybe
go.
put a plasma in the box.
Yeah, that would be awesome. but that would probably be the one that I can see. That, or if they manage to contract out to a third party, which I seriously doubt they would ever do, it would be MGS4. But considering first party, I can't help but think that Killzone 2 is probably going to be the one in 2008.
Ryan, what do you got? What do you think?
I think eventually it's going to be
You're agreeing with me? Okay, good.
Sure.
Let's go on to MS Prague wants to know, how do we feel about online playing being a must in games? I got to say that I used to think that this was absolutely necessary, especially in a shooter. But I've gotten to recently where I don't really play games online nearly as much as I used to, and I'm more about the single player experience these days. So for me, it's not as necessary as I once thought that it was. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think it depends upon the specific title. There's some games where if you had a multiplayer experience, it would be completely ruined. I mean, you don't need multiplayer in Uncharted. As a matter of fact, I have a feeling if you tried to throw multiplayer in Uncharted, or have like
I don't think that would work
Drake
at all.
versus pirates or whatever, it would be
awesome.
totally screwed up.
I'm now sad that it's not in there. Drake versus Pirates.
But like
That's what the game is. It's Drake
it
versus
is Drake,
Pirates.
But
online.
there's certain games where it's totally like screwed up or it's glommed on. You can tell that it's kind of that afterthought, or even the team that's just brought in They come up with a few generic modes, and that's pretty much it. I kind of agree with you. Like, part of it is that I've always liked the single-player experience. I think that there's some games where multiplayer is perfect, and you really need to have that additional thing. But not every game requires it. And sometimes if you happen to just focus solely on single-player or multiplayer, you get really good experiences. I mean, look at Warhawk. They thought the single-player sucked. They scrapped it. They came up with multiplayer. Much better game. I don't even know if I would want to think about what the single player would be, because multiplayer is so much fun. That's one of those examples where like it winds up working better in the opposite side.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's a game that was focused solely on multiplayer, though. I'm talking more about games that are, you have a very strong single player component, and then you say, do you need online in this?
Right.
Like, as an example, they added Deathmatch to Half-Life 2 after it first came out on the PC, and it's like, that was fun, but I only played it for a couple hours, and then I was like, well, Half-Life 2 itself did not need multiplayer. But anyway, let's move on. Who's next on here? Darth Bryan, which is a pretty rad name, says that he hasn't heard God of War 2 mentioned as a Game of the Year candidate. Do you think it'll be out of contention purely because it was released so early in the year, or were the graphics not shiny enough since it was on last-gen hardware, etc., etc.? We are actually nailing down our Game of the Year nominees this week as our internal thing. So we will see how it happens, but I mean, clearly looking at the PS2's end, there's not a whole lot of contention for it. I'm not saying that it's going to win, but there's not a whole lot of contention on that end. But the game is awesome, and whether or not it wins our overall Game of the Year or whatever, who cares? It's God of War 2. It's a must-have on the PS2.
Yeah,
so.
it's one of those situations where regardless of when it was released, I mean, it could have been released on January 2nd. The fact that the quality of the game itself was that high on the PS2 at the end of its life cycle is still going to be worth contention, even when we wind up going through everything that was released this year.
Mm-hmm. Der Spooky Box wants to know.
What?
That's what it says. Der Spooky Box says, do we think that Sony's doing anything to make the PlayStation Network better than what it is? He likes the polished look and feel of Xbox Live, and he has there's a lot of optimism concerning the PlayStation 3's 2008 lineup, but he wants to know if we think the PlayStation Network's going to get any better, and if Sony's trying to do anything to make it better. Obviously, Sony's trying to make it better. They're releasing updates and crap like that all the time to it. Jeff, what do you think? What do you think Sony needs to do to make it better?
Well, I think that they're making a few inroads right now, especially with the recent release of the PSP store for the PC and the syncing between basically your PSN account information and computers for your PSP, so that you have almost a synergy between PC, PSP, PS3 connectivity. A lot of the things we mentioned in previous podcasts, I think, is probably where they're going. It's obvious that they're looking at adding a lot more original game content, whether it happens to be solely for the PSP or if it's going to be PS3. Like it's going to show up on the PSN initially on the PS3 and then just port it over to the PSP. I think the fact that they're moving into a lot more trailers, demos, add-ons, and things like that are some of the things that everybody's basically been calling for, but it's just taking them a long time. I don't know if it's getting the content together or figuring it all out. I have a feeling they're probably looking towards ramping up, and one of the reasons why it's not there yet is they're ramping up towards home with a lot of video and other plug-in and additional support, which is probably why some of the things that we expect or some of the things that we're hoping we'd see with the PSN, we haven't seen yet because they're holding back for like a large flood of it to come whenever home winds up being released.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just hope that when Home comes out, they do a remodeling of the PlayStation Store, as we keep discussing.
Yeah, because it looks pretty crappy.
I think
it's just it has such a internet on your TV feel, because that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Whereas with the XBLA stuff, it's all just XBLA. XBL. I was adding an extra letter. That's all in system integrated. It's very tight, very sharp, and I don't know. It just doesn't feel. It feels hazy on the PS3, so I'm hoping that they tighten it.
Yeah, it could be a little slicker, but Sony is doing a good job of adding a bunch of new content these days. So.
Yeah, content on the content side of things, it's way better than it was before. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I can't imagine that they're not going to wind up giving it at least one or two other facelifts. I mean, considering that Xbox Live got a facelift recently with the latest update, and it looks slicker. It has a couple more features and everything. There really hasn't been one of those really released within a firmware update for the PS3. So I can't imagine that in the next few months, especially as we start moving up towards home, that we're not going to see something.
Moving on, let's see. I am Ekin says, "Happy holidays, Beyond crew." Beyond.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays!
He's just curious to know what flavor of RPGs we guys prefer, Western or Japanese.
We guys.
I'm ad-libbing his sentence and reading what he said. Anyway, I'm not really an RPG gamer, so I gotta say I like Western RPGs better because I like the BioWare type stuff. But I mean, I'm certainly not one to speak on RPGs as a whole because that's not really my digs. But Ryan, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm a huge RPG person. I think it just depends on what you're in the mood for. Both types of RPGs and
Pick a
both
winner.
genres. There is no winner in
Pick
that.
Western or Japanese. Which one? If you were designing a game, would you have it sort of be Western tinted or Japanese tinted?
It's really hard for me to say. It just depends.
Oh God! All right.
If I was developing one, well, I couldn't develop a Japanese game. I don't know Japanese. I don't know any of that stuff.
Let's just go combat system.
But
if you're going to make an RPG,
okay, like a combat system.
Yeah,
probably maybe Japanese.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, you know themes, you know mechanics, you know things that are basically integrated within it. I mean, I play a lot of RPGs myself as well. I would probably lean a little bit more towards Western style games simply because, kind of like what you were saying, I'm a little bit more Western grounded, Western focused. A lot of the things that I initially started playing were Western games, especially like AD&D games, stuff like that. So that's probably where mine is. But I agree with you in the sense that it really depends upon the franchise. I mean, if you're going like Shin Megami Tensei or Final Fantasy or some of the more obscure Japanese RPGs,
right,
like a Blue Dragon or something else. I mean, like there's certain merits to the Japanese style as well.
Right.
Not saying that one is better. It just depends upon either the flavor that you have, the franchise, or what the mechanics are behind that particular RPG franchise.
The problem is that a lot of Japanese games have just such superior style and precision, but oftentimes they're really rehashed. Whereas Western developers, I'm not so fond of like how they approach style and themes, but they often innovate before Eastern developers do. Like, for example, with KOTOR and Mass Effect and stuff like that, like really huge games. So I think it really depends. A mix of the two would be awesome.
Yeah, well, then you also pull up things like Suikoden or
right.
Like
I'm not saying that the Japanese
Arc the
developers don't
Ladder.
innovate. I'm just saying that sometimes you see a trend where like Western studios do like a really awesome thing, kind of before their Eastern
yeah, and
counterparts.
then you also have Western RPGs that are taking elements like Lunar or Arc the Lad, which have Japanese style mechanics, but they also try to present it within some Western context, which is a little funky. It's almost a hybrid.
I like Doom RPG. Prototype 23 wants to know, have you heard anything about PS3 Greatest Hits? It's been a year. Some quality games should come out, or have come out, like Motorstorm Resistance. Are there going to be Greatest Hits anytime soon?
Maybe not soon, right? I don't think they have a big enough library of Greatest Hits to release
they
it.
do have a number that would qualify. We just haven't gotten any specifics on it.
Yeah. I'm thinking that springtime is when you'll start to see them.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of wanted to get through the first, full year release. Now you have however many, 100 games or whatever that's on the system out there. So that way, when you have Greatest Hits, it's not the, half of your library. So now, they release, 5-6 games become Greatest Hits. It's a small portion of your library, but they're really good games. Everybody should go get, like, Motorstorm Resistance and those sorts of titles, and help bolster what's happening there. So, and I'm guessing they're gonna be $30, but who knows? Prodigy 99. I remember using Prodigy back in the day. The service sucked. What do you guys think about the visual style of Street Fighter 4? Do you think it will play with your traditional Street Fighter style?
I only saw that announcement trailer. I didn't actually see any gameplay yet. Jeff,
well, there is the one image that was released.
Yeah, there's the image. It's
from what I'm hearing, it's a 2D game, but with 3D art.
Exactly.
So it should play in the traditional Street Fighter style, as he's putting it. At least I hope it does.
Yeah, I can't imagine that they're really going to mess that much with what's worked. I mean, it really is one of those a lot of times with Capcom and Street Fighter, it's one of those, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just tweak a hell of it.
You just release 50 games with the same name.
Yeah. You just tweak the formula to the point where it's a mild variant on what's already been there.
It's kind of like the Taco Bell formula.
Pretty much.
You just keep changing the ingredients to keep using the same things, but all they have is meat, lettuce, tomato, sauce, and like 3 different kinds of breads.
Chalupa, spicy chalupa.
Yeah.
Meat lover chalupa.
Whatever. Put some cheese on the outside of the taco and call it a fiesta taco
wrap or something. Yeah, I mean it's practically the same thing. But from what we've seen, I mean, like they showed off the announcement trailer, which looks incredible. Mm-hmm. There's that the one shot that's floating around. So ostensibly, you'd have to think that it's going to work. I mean, it's not like they don't know what they're doing. It is Street Fighter after all.
Well, there was Street Fighter 3.
Well, aberrations do
unfortunately,
happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, we'll find out before then, but unfortunately we'll be able to play the game in full until 2009 at the earliest.
Yeah, because they're focusing a lot more on the remix of Super Street Fighter 2 HD Turbo remix with whatever else added on.
So, but I mean, I'm psyched for that game. John GPR is a new listener and wants to know what we think of Jack Tretton saying that the reason that the PS3 is lagging behind the other consoles is due to not having enough consoles at launch. Do we think that is true or false? Is Sony not getting why they are third so far this generation? Obviously, the reason that they're in third place is not because they didn't have enough consoles at launch. That might have helped them sell a few more, but I mean, the issue is price.
Yeah, it's everybody's going to come up with their own way of trying to spin something on a situation like this, especially if you happen to have been in the lead and you realize that you are trailing and you need to make up space. Mm-hmm. The fact that they had 2 price cuts within 1 year, actually within 3 months of each other, is one of those situations where they finally.
I gave up a long time
ago. Yeah, it's one of those situations where they finally realize that maybe if we released multiple SKUs for a system that is that much and people aren't buying them, that could actually hurt us, bottom line or anything else, regardless of what we throw into the system, like it's the cheapest Blu-ray player around.
The thing is, I think it has nothing to do with the multiple SKUs, because Sony, they were sort of playing around with what works and what doesn't work as far as price point and features and stuff like that, and they've got a couple good options out there, and I think that works, but and the price of it isn't that bad anymore. You're talking it's $50 more than the full 360, so
right.
For the 40 gig system at least, so the price isn't that bad anymore. The problem was that it was so prohibitively one of those whatever. Anyway, it was so damn expensive when it first came out that nobody could really afford to buy it. And then then software wasn't as good because there weren't as many systems out there, so people weren't putting as much money into the software. Now you're looking at some of the EA ports in the past have sucked, so people were like, well, I might as well buy a 360 because the games are more polished over there, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. 360 has a bigger lineup so far just because it's been out longer. Mm. Now you're sort of in this. Now Sony's trying to kind of come over this chicken and egg thing where they're like, well, the price is fine, but they don't have software. But to get more units out there, they need more software, but they need, to get more software they need more units out. So they're kind of in this little sort of struggling part. But, I mean, they're in a. From what they're doing now on Sony's end, it is pretty good. Where the price is finally reasonable. There's some good games coming out for it. Now it's sort of the sit back or don't sit back, but we'll see what happens over an extended period of time though.
Don't relax.
But a lot of the line has changed as well too, because for a certain part it was hey, this is also the cheapest Blu-ray player on the market.
Yeah.
And then there was all these other things about well, if you happen to be a Sony fan or you have a PS2 or you have a PSP, then obviously this is just the next step up. Forgetting the fact that most of the people that necessarily had those things didn't have the HD TV and didn't have the money to spend on the system and everything else. And along with that, you also found that a lot of the push for the system wasn't necessarily there, which is why, kind of in some of the earlier podcasts, it was why are they still pushing PS2 or PSP as opposed to PS3? Because it was almost like the marketing side hadn't actually caught up with the fact that they had a new system that was the most powerful system ever made out on the market. And so all of a sudden it's now they're finally starting to get a hang of, hey, we haven't got all the things that we really wanted at this point in time. Maybe we need to redo things, which is why the new ad campaign came out, why all of a sudden the price point is exactly where it should be to actually make a lot of ground, and the games are finally starting to come out because people have had a lot more time with the hardware and the dev kits to really exploit what the system can do. And that's probably one of the things where now, even if they start spinning it off and trying to go, okay, we didn't have enough systems at launch, maybe it was haunted or something. I don't know. Like there'll probably be a lot of other spin, but there are very definite reasons as to why, and price is probably the largest factor.
Ryan, what say you? Very good response.
Say something.
Okay.
More needs to be said. I think we covered it.
Okay, let's read a question from Rob Shock. He says, "I'm not asking any more questions. My real questions don't get read, yet idiotic questions about shredded wheat get read. Oh, haha." Thanks for that email. SB Tracer 0587 says there's been a lot of complaining about the quality of graphics and frame rate for GTA 4. Have any of us seen the game? How did it look? And will PS3 owners get owned again beyond when a game has a first with a game that has a worse frame rate?
Didn't you see it?
I have seen the game twice now, and for starters, the trailer that was released, Rockstar's not saying which platform it was on. I've seen the game on 360 both times. I have a feeling that the trailer that was released was on 360, so nobody knows outside of Rockstar how well the game's running on PS3. So,
do you really think it looked like it was running very smoothly in the trailer?
No, I mean, it was kind of choppy.
Yeah, I still didn't think it looked very good.
So I'll come back to that point in a second, but right fast is nobody knows what the game looks like on the PS3 yet. So before people start saying that, like, the game looks like crap on the PS3 or it's going to be better or whatever, nobody knows yet. I think that it's going to look fine in the end. Rockstar knows how important it is for that game to come out and run well and do a service to PS3 owners. So I think that it's going to be fine in the end. As for how it was running, I mean, a game of that size needs a lot of polish, and that's one of the reasons it was pushed back 6 months or whatever it was. So, Rockstar is working on getting it to run smooth. And what we were told the last time that I saw the game was that that's one of those games that sort of comes together, all of it comes together at the end. You build this giant universe, basically, and you don't polish one little piece and then go and polish another little piece and then go polish that. All of it comes together at the same size because you're talking about this huge world. So, it doesn't run perfectly yet, but, we're still looking at, 4 months or whatever before it's coming out. Mm-hmm. And so that's what they're, working on getting done now is a smooth frame rate. So,
yeah, I couldn't imagine that every single bit of that game, especially with the trailer, had been optimized up to that point. I mean, there's some things that are probably running fine, and there are probably other things that they wanted to throw in to show off some of the elements of it that probably haven't even been touched yet. I mean...
Now, do remember also... I'm not condoning this because I really hope the game runs a solid 30 frames a second. But remember that GTA 3 ran like crap, and that didn't stop it from selling 7 billion copies.
Very true.
Okay, Anishan, something like that. Resistance and Ratchet are two games which prove that Insomniac is doing very well on the PS3. What do you think should be their next title, Resistance 2 or Ratchet? Ryan?
I mean, I'm more of a Resistance fan than I am a Ratchet fan, even though Ratchet's fantastic, and I haven't tried the PS3 version yet. I will soon.
Well, I mean, I think the clear answer there is Resistance 2 because Resistance, the first game has been out for a year, so you figure that team is working on the sequel, so they're a year ahead of the Ratchet guys. It makes more sense to them to kind of go back and forth between the titles or whatever else they're going to do.
Definitely.
So and people are still talking about how good Resistance is, and so
I'd love to see a new franchise from them too, or even just a new a title.
Resistance just came out. I mean, that was their new title.
Well, Ratchet just came out
even
literally.
if
I mean, Resistance is
even
a new
if they
IP
just spent a little time and did like a fun casual game for the PS,
that would actually be pretty cool.
I just thought they're really good developers. They know what they're doing. I think it would be cool to see them approach casual games. Just as a relaxing sidestep from their intense, big titles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would probably be just a few guys on the team, but I can't imagine with the cliffhanger from Resistance that they were going to give that more than a year and a half before they came up with something else.
Spoilers! Oh my god.
Beerham, which is a great name, says graphically, how does the new Burnout game look running on the PS3? Do you guys consider the PS3 version of Burnout to be the better version, and what differences, advantages does it supposedly have? We've hands-on of the full version of the game going up next week. Tomorrow. And last week, tomorrow's Tuesday, right now from where we're recording on Monday. Time warp in case you're listening to later in the week. But last week we wrote about the demo, and which applied to both the PS3 and 360 versions of the game. And everything that I've seen about it looks identical. Maybe if you did some side-by-side, had TVs running at the same time, you'd say, oh, there's a pixel over here, which is out of place, or, whatever. Anyway, but I mean, going back and forth between the two games, it looks identical to me. It runs fantastically on both systems, so you will not be disappointed in the game, in the PS3 version of the game. As for how, the whole thing is going to wind up, we'll see how that happens. It's not out for a month, but, the PS3 version runs smooth as silk, so very good criterion. Ooh.
Nice.
The Impact 81 wants to know, other than the Metal Gear Solid 4 and Little Big Planet, what is your most anticipated exclusive of 08? Beyond. My most anticipated exclusive for 08
Go to the list.
is still in front of us.
Of course.
Is Gran Turismo 5. I'm a huge Gran Turismo fan, but aside from that, I got to go with Africa is a very tempting pick, but Little Big Planet is my next one
because I'm besides though.
No, I said Gran Turismo 5, and then besides that, I said, Africa is an interesting pick that I would make almost, but I'm going to go with Little Big Planet just because I'm a big fan of, I like creating things. I like, tooling around with stuff, and I've been modding Quake-type games forever and stuff, so I'm looking forward to the creation elements of Little Big Planet.
Cool.
Ryan?
Well, I mean, everybody will tell you that I say Little Big Planet all the time, but did he or she say Killzone also?
Anything. No. Besides MGS4 and Little Big Planet.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because it was I see what you're saying. Yeah. It was besides Little Big Planet. Then I'm going to go with Gran Turismo 5 in Africa.
Okay. So
I see where you were.
I would have to go with Killzone.
I got Beyond.
Maybe, maybe Echochrome. I don't know, because that still looks pretty sweet, too.
Mm-hmm.
It's got to be Killzone right now. Because that's like the only one that ever since they started showing real footage of it, it's like, wow. If it wasn't MGS4, it's definitely Killzone.
That brings us to the end of Reader Mail.
Reader Mail done.
I just threw it behind the couch. Reader Mail done. Is that the new closing thing? Reader Mail done?
Reader Mail done?
Don't forget the next segment we have before we wrap up.
What is our next segment there, Ryan?
It is the Coming Soon segment.
Coming soon type stuff. Okay,
yes.
so
soon on
shout out to what's happening.
Yes, so what are we reviewing now and what are we reviewing next?
Let's see. What I'm reviewing next is MX versus ATV Untamed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Unleashed was Untamed is this year. I keep getting confused between those two names. Anyway, I'm reviewing that, and I'm playing Burnout. Like I said, tomorrow we'll have up the hands-on for the full version of the game. I wrote about the demo last week. Which is very exciting because I love Burnout. So those
very
are the
nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
How about you, Jeff?
I have the pleasure.
Oh man, I got highlighter on my pants. Damn it, man. So to explain what happens here is So Brian writes up the questions every week from all the readers, and he gives me this sheet, and then I go through and I highlight all the ones that I want to read out on the air. And I'm doing it today, and I got highlighter all over my hands, including the back of my hands, which I don't understand how that happened.
How did that even happen?
It doesn't make any sense because I'm just holding the pen like a normal pen. It just gets on the back of my fingers. It's on the back of my fingers even.
But that could be sleep deprivation from like being up with your newborn. Like maybe you're marking your hands.
But it's also on my pants now, which sucks. Anyway, I got I got to get into highlighter.
Highlighter beyond.
God.
Highlighter beyond. Beyond highlighted.
Beyond highlighted.
All right, back to what you were doing.
Anyway, I have the startling pleasure of reviewing 7 Wonders of the Ancient World for the PS2. So fantastically, well, okay, I can't even like BS on that one. It's an interesting game. And then upcoming, like I said in the release list, would be Daisen Ryaku 7, Modern Military Tactics Exceed, if it actually winds up coming out this week.
The Exceed is the clincher on that title.
And that's pretty much it. As far as playing, just finished playing a certain amount of NFL Tour, which we posted last week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty much it.
As for me, I actually had the surprising honor of reviewing Orange Box for PS3, which caught me off guard because Hill is he on vacation right now?
He's on vacation in the Bahamas or something.
He is in the Bahamas.
He's out of the country.
He is gone.
And then next, we finally got our copies of all the History Channel games and the Golden Compass games, so I'm going to be tackling those as soon as possible.
Yep. Okay, to speak of upcoming reviews, today we have going up the Area 51 review for PS3, and then a very important, as we mentioned, Orange Box review is going up tonight at midnight, and then a very important other review which people are going to be looking forward to is the Unreal Tournament 3 review, which right before we came into here I got the box copy of. We've had Charles playing the debug version beforehand, so he's already in the mix on that. Now, as for timing on that review, because it's so heavily weighted for online play, we're going to have Charles play it online against the public and see how that works on the servers. So timing on when the reviews goes up, it's sometime this week, but we don't know when. Pretty much we need to give it time for, to make sure everything runs well when everybody's on there and, you have 32 guys going and everybody's trying to kill each other and whatever. So timing on that will be as soon as possible, but we don't want to rush that one out the door. So we'll see how that one goes. But I will say that I have played the game on the PS3, and it is very fun. So it's good times.
Cool.
Other upcoming stuff, I think that's it. We may have the MX versus ATV review at the end of the week. That's pending. The game ships next week.
I think there's probably a few things that are going to be coming in the middle of the week as well, like just from events or possibly something from Greg or whatever.
Yes.
Did you want to note the change we're going to be making in some of our older reviews that you and I were discussing, or is that not officially public yet?
No, it's fine, but I'm not going to mention
really
it.
exciting?
I'm not going to mention it just to confuse the readers.
Oh, okay.
No, we're just okay. Yeah, no, I'll,
Mystery.
I'll just make a note. Is we're going to change the way that we're reviewing. We're not going to do PlayStation 1 reviews anymore on the PlayStation Network. We're going to do wrap-ups. So you'll see soon towards the end of the week we should have wrap-ups of all the existing PlayStation 1 titles released for the PS3 and PSP, and you can find this on the Xbox 360 site right now, which those guys did for the recently released Xbox hits or
originals,
Xbox originals. That's what it is. So it's a nice little rundown of what we originally scored the game, what's new about it, what emulation does, pros cons about that. If you can find it still in stores or whatever else. So it's a cool little rundown. I think it's kind of a better way to do it than have the reviews go up, because people have been writing to us for a long time, been confused about why we're giving a graphics score to a game that's 10 years old, and so anyway, so the new format should be pretty cool. And the list that we're going to put up, like I said, hopefully towards the end of this week, should be a pretty cool one-stop shop list of all the games that are out so far. One-stop shop. Beyond.
Also,
Beyond Shop.
Are we getting a Beats review from Sam?
And Beats review is going up today. Yes.
Booyah.
Which he actually gave us last week, but apparently his email didn't go through, so nobody knew we had it. So
oh no!
So the email beyond us all.
Yeah. So that gets to go up today as well.
Email beyond.
Email beyond. So I think that's pretty much the end of the show. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I believe so.
I think we're ready for a song.
We're ready for a song. All right, let's hear it.
We had to fall back on one of our emergency ideas because Greg
From the
wasn't
closet.
here.
Oh God.
Are you ready?
I don't even know what
you
it
don't
is.
even know, but you'll know. It was kind of like his Mario thing.
Oh God.
I don't even know what this is, and I'm laughing already.
Okay. Beyond, 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 beyond.
Oh, God.
Beyond, 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 beyond.
I don't know why I'm here. God.
Beyond, beyond, beyond,
Metal Gear.
beyond, beyond,
Podcast Beyond.
beyond, 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 beyond,
Beyond.
Very good. We'll see you guys next week.
That was the worst song ever.
That was the best song ever. Peace out.